In 1850 in the US, a slave cost about $40,000, adjusted for inflation. Today, about 21 million people are in slavery. The average price of a slave is $90. A woman in a gas mask walks with a stroller. Germany, 1942. A couple watches the launch of the Apollo 8 spacecraft, 1968. The removal of the bodies of Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun from the bunker, 1945. Police used tear gas during riots in the illegal settlement of Rotterdam, South Africa. People are protesting the destruction of their homes, 1977. The largest submarine in the world, called Akula, USSR, 1981. The annual funeral of Mr. Gernhardt, 1951. Farmer Jim Gernhardt, 75, in his new coffin during the first rehearsal of his own annual funeral, which he continued to hold every year for the next 3 decades until his death at 103. 1910, New York. 4 young girls send blessings to people 100 years into the future. Colleagues at the bedside of Catherine Wolfe Donahue, who was dying of a tumor and had lost all her teeth, USA, 1938. The girls were engaged in hand-painting glowing watch faces with radium-based paint. Factory management knew about the dangers of radium, but did not warn their workers. Dali paints his next masterpiece with a model, The Temptation of St. Anthony, 1946. A photograph depicting the class segregation in pre-war Britain, 1937. The Englishwoman Millie Cooper, an elite prostitute born in 1915. She started her career in the 1940s, and in 2011, at the age of 96, she was still working, earning $1,250 per session. Where did the phrase, "no risk, no champagne," come from? In the past, wine had a tendency to explode in France. Going down to the cellar for a bottle of champagne was quite a risk. People would go in special protective suits to guard against flying shards. Sommeliers from that time often lacked fingers or an eye. Even in the distant 19th century, cats were memes. Maria Goes to Bed, one of the very first pornographic films in the history of world cinema. The film was shot in Paris in 1896. Schoolgirls solemnly bid farewell to a kamikaze pilot, Chiron, 1945. At that time in Japan, many aspired to become kamikaze pilots, but only the chosen ones were selected. A woman asks for an autograph from a Titanic survivor, April 1912. The wife of the commandant of the German concentration camps Buchenwald and Majdanek was most famous for her obsession with leather products made from human skin. She particularly liked skin with tattoos, from which, by her orders, gloves, lampshades, and book bindings were made. After the war, she was sentenced to life imprisonment. East German border guards observed the dispersal of protesters using tear gas on the other side of the Berlin Wall, 1988. A Muslim family eating oak leaves during a famine, Russian Empire, 1921. Horse diving, a popular show where riders and horses jumped from an 18-meter height, 1969. In the late 19th century, scientific progress was astounding the world. A simple cleaning lady from the USA was so inspired by this that she bequeathed herself to science. A liberated prisoner from the Ebensee concentration camp in Austria, 1945. Adolf Eichmann's smile as his sentence for crimes against humanity is red, 1961. Martin Luther King was arrested for demanding service in a whites-only restaurant, Florida, 1964. Survivors of the Andes plane crash, 1972. They lasted 72 days by eating the bodies of the dead. March on Washington, 1963. During this event, Martin Luther King delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. As a result of the march, the U.S. government abolished segregation and granted African Americans equal voting rights as whites. An emotional girl holds a bundle of grass where Ringo Starr once walked at Los Angeles Airport, USA, 1964. Policemen try to calm down a young female fan during a Beatles concert in New York, 1966. Women's clothing department in Russia, Moscow, 1990. The most dangerous notebook in the world. It belonged to Marie Curie and it emits radiation, 1899. Berlin residents search for food in the ruins, 1945. One of the main pieces of evidence against Ted Bundy, American serial killer, rapist, kidnapper, and necrophile, was his teeth. He bit his victims on the chest and buttocks. He even bit off one woman's nipples. In 1947 in New York, the body of Homer Collier, who had starved to death, was found in an apartment blocked by 100 tons of junk, underneath which his paralyzed brother was also discovered. The unloading of bodies after the ferry Donya Pass collided with an oil tanker in 1987, resulting in about 4,300 deaths, the largest peacetime maritime disaster. The cause of the tragedy was negligence from the crew. There was only one person on the bridge while the rest of the officers were resting, watching TV, and drinking beer. Life vests were locked up, and no ship sent an SOS. In case of war, evacuate children, cover the windows, kill the cat. 1939, United Kingdom. In September 1939, within a week of the declaration of war, over 750,000 pets were killed in the UK. The reason was simple. There would be no food to feed them. Peaky Blinders, members of the gang that terrorized Birmingham in 1903. Bear treatment for back pain, Romania, 1946. Chinese justice, a prisoner, kneels on chains with hands tied by the pinkies, Mukden, 1906. If caught by the police for jaywalking in South Korea, you had to stand in the shame box for 30 minutes, 1970s. Traditional winter goggles carved from walrus ivory, Canada, 1921. These were designed to protect the wearer from snow blindness caused by the sun's glare on the ice. Peaky Blinders, members of a gang that terrorized Birmingham, 1903. A hat for listening to the radio, 1949. A World War I veteran begs for alms on a Berlin street, 1923. Memorial Cross for the Last Witch burned in 1657, Scotland. A captured German soldier in front of the burning Reichstag. Model K. Heffernan demonstrates the safety of the insecticide DDT, New York, 1948. It is now banned due to its danger to living organisms. Mass hysteria in England during World War II. The belief that Germans would use chemical weapons during bombings. the government distributed over 38 million gas masks to civilians. Johnny Depp's 1994 arrest after he trashed a hotel room while trying to kill a cockroach. Even with a lawnmower in line, the fuel crisis in the USA, 1973. Freddie Overstegen, a Dutch girl and killer of dozens of Nazis, along with her friend and sister as part of the resistance, lured men into the woods where they got a bullet in the head. Sunglasses were originally intended for syphilis patients, as the disease causes extreme sensitivity of the eyes to light, and the glasses help them go outside calmly. The day Dad finally came home. Gunner Hector Murdoch had been a POW in Singapore for over 4 years. His wife Rosina and son John didn't know if he was alive. On his birthday in 1945, he finally returned. A model is taught the correct way to exit a car. London, 1965. Before aerial photography was invented, photography was done by all possible means. 1952. Babies who lost their parents during the Vietnam War are airlifted to the USA for adoption. 1975. Physicist Harold Agnew carries plutonium for the Fat Man atomic bomb to be dropped on Nagasaki, which will claim around 74,000 lives. USA, 1945. Prostitute's identification card. Prostitution was legal in Russia, but only after registration, 1904. Ladies invite their suitors to the white dance. Century-old etiquette, 1900. A Boston police officer pulls his four-legged partner, Fritz, out of a construction pit, Massachusetts, 1989. A horse in a tree after a storm in Louisville, Kentucky, 1937. In 1914, at the request of the U.S. government, Russia sent about 2,000 engineers to help establish a heavy military industry in the USA. In 1970, veterans tossed their military awards onto the steps of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., protesting under the banner, "We will not fight in the rich man's war." A soldier's return to his homeland, Vienna, Austria, 1946. Africa, Sudan, school class, 1954. Midwives show newborn triplets to their father, who fainted from emotion, New York, 1946. Pacific Islanders examine a F-4U aircraft. Initially, the military was mistaken for gods, 1943. Passers-by gather to watch World War II, Hero Audi, Murphy visit a barber, Texas, 1946. Adolf Hitler visits the trenches where he served during World War I as part of the Bavarian 16th Reserve Regiment near Fonay. The Hitler Regiment held this line for 18 months. This roller coaster was designed specifically to end one's life painlessly and easily. According to the creator's design, it can be used for humane capital punishment. A Swedish woman hitting a neo-Nazi protester with her handbag. The woman was reportedly a concentration camp survivor, 1985. The Shanghai waterfront is filled with evacuation boats after the Communists' victory in China, 1946. Winter 2011. Kim Jong-un consoles cadets who are grieving the death of Kim Jong-il. Residents of Hiroshima walking outside 10 minutes after the nuclear explosion, 1945. General Patton's dog mourning his owner's death, 1945. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon calling their moms after winning the Oscar for Good Will Hunting, 1997. Leg prosthetics, a technology ahead of its time, year 1900. Early advancements in biomechanical support. The photograph shows a man examining nuclear lava, known as Chernobyl's elephant's foot. Being near it guaranteed death from radiation. There were 157,000 cases of the USSR executing its own soldiers during World War II. In the US, Britain, and France, the count was only in the hundreds. Judge of an ankle competition organized by the women's section of the British Railway Social Club at Oxford, 1949. Grandma sees punks for the first time in her life. London, 1982. In 1969, a protest against the use of bras was held in San Francisco. James Naismith, Canadian-American inventor of basketball, with his wife, 1928. The most fraudulent election in history took place in Liberia in 1927. Charles King received 243,000 votes, despite there being only 15,000 registered voters. Gold Rush, Serra Pelada, Gold Mines, Brazil, 1986. Children in bomb shield hats, headphones and protection from biting their tongues, Sydney, 1942. USA, 1960. Since many older American cities lacked swimming pools, entrepreneurs devised a mobile, pay-to-use swimming pool on wheels. Experiment at Tbilisi Oncology Institute, 1967. California Hunter. Seth Kinman sits in a chair made of a grizzly bear that he gifted to President Lincoln. Madame Gustika, an Ethiopian woman with traditional lip stretching, became a sideshow act in New York. She was often shown smoking a pipe. 4-year-old Barack Obama with his grandfather on the beach. German refugees cross a destroyed bridge. Elbe River, Germany, May 1st, 1945. A policewoman removing 2 girls from the beach because of the improper appearance of their swimsuits, 1922, USA. U.S. President Lyndon Johnson's limousine, covered in paint packets during protests against the Vietnam War, 1966. Special anti-gas cribs for infants, England, 1942. Boy Scouts collect money for the survivors of the Titanic, England, 1912. In 1945, the Red Army entered the Łódź Ghetto in Poland. They found just over 800 Jewish survivors. The total population had been 204,000. Bicycles designed for riding on railway tracks, Pellston, Michigan, 1910. An orphaned German boy trades his father's iron cross for cigarettes, Berlin, 1945. The photo shows everything that remained of a person who was sitting on the steps 250 meters from the nuclear explosion. Hiroshima, August 6th, 1945. Whether this clip sparked joy, anger, or just a bit of annoyance, I want to hear your thoughts below. Stick around for part 2 coming soon. Please hit like and subscribe to support the channel. See you.